I am just gonna do kind of more of a relaxing video. As someone with a visual impairment, I do enjoy sounds a lot. I love to listen to music or just somebody whispering or just random background noise when I'm trying to relax. It's just very soothing. So I want to do something like that today, but also show you something cool and interesting. So a lot of you probably know of the Braille code, and you probably know as much as that every letter of the alphabet has its own combination of dots, and numbers too have a special way of writing them, but you probably don't know that a lot of Braille symbols like punctuation or even blended letter sounds like ST or CH have their own symbols, and even sometimes they are made up of more than one cell of dots. So it's a lot. There's a lot of rules, a lot of things to consider, whether a Braille symbol is at the beginning of a word, at the end of a word, in the middle of a word, and so depending on the position as well, different symbols can mean different things. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of repetition, but I am not here to overwhelm you with all of that. I am just going to go over the structure of the Braille cell, and I'm also going to talk to you about the different combinations for the letters of the alphabet. Super easy, super fun. You can just drown out what I'm saying and just let me drone on in the background if that's what you want to do, or if you want to pay attention a little and learn about the alphabet. I appreciate that too. So, here is a Braille cell. It's made up of 3 rows. So 1, 2, 3 rows and 2 columns. 1, 2. So in each column there are 3 dots, and in each row there are 2 dots. And if you got your basic math times tables, you know that 2 times 3 is 6. So there are 6 dots in the Braille cell, and they are numbered because that is what helps you know what position a dot is in and how to describe it, and then also it helps you to remember, oh, this is a Braille cell or a Braille symbol with these specific dots in it, so that must be this symbol or this letter. So in the left-hand column we have dot 1, 2, and 3 from top to bottom, and on the right side on the second column we have dots 4, 5, and 6. And so the 26 letters of the alphabet are made up of a combination of any of these 6 dots, up to 5 different dots in some letters. So that's what we're going to look at today. Let's go ahead and look at our cell again one more time and see if we can remember where the dots are. On the left side, starting at the top, 1 in the middle, 2 at the bottom, 3 on the right side at the top, 4 in the middle, 5, and at the bottom, 6. So that's going to be helpful to you as I describe the alphabet to you. So what I have here, I'm going to turn it for you so you can see it better if you're looking. These are some coloring sheets that I made to help teach some of my younger kids who are still reading print letters about the Braille code, and get them started learning the code for themselves. And so each block I have created the size of a whole cell, but I've only provided the dots for the letters specifically for them to color in and try to kind of remember the position that the dots are in. So for letter A, we have just dot 1. Super easy to remember. Letter A is only 1 dot, but the more important part about that is that it's dot 1. So it's not dot 2 or 3, 4, 5, or 6. It's dot 1, meaning it's in that first row and the first column, the very top left. So if you're reading and you feel a dot, that is in respect to where the other dots are in that line. If it's in that top left position, that is the letter A. There are other Braille symbols or indicators that also have 1 dot in them, so we can't confuse them with the letter A. I also want to point out that I do have the capital A and the lowercase a in print. In Braille, the letters are always going to look the same. So in print, we see that the capital A is like a triangle shape with a line across the middle part of it. And then the lowercase a has a few different ways of drawing it, but it's got that circle with a little kind of like a curve or an arc above it. In Braille, it's always just dot 1. So whether it's capital or lowercase, if you find a dot 1, that is always A. The way that we make letters or words or phrases capital in Braille is by adding a symbol next to them, and if you stick to the end, you'll get to see what symbol that is. So now let's go to the next letter, which is B, dot 1 and 2. And B is kind of easy to remember because it's got 2 dots right on top of each other. And it looks kind of like the capital B. It's got those 2 bumps coming off the right side of that long vertical line. And so that's kind of an easy way to recognize B. But again, if you think about it, in Braille, there are other symbols that only have 2 dots on top of each other. B is the one that includes dots 1 and 2. So here is letter C, our last letter on this page. And letter C is dots 1 and 4. And I also want to mention, when you are speaking about the dots that are combined to make a symbol or a letter, you always mention them in order, in number order. So this letter C has a dot 1 and a dot 4, but we don't say it like dot 4, 1. We always say it in order. So dot 1 and 4 make up the letter C. And maybe a way to remember this if you are a print reader, again, is that when we're writing the letter C, we start at the top and we curve around to the left and then curve down to the bottom. And so if you think about how these dots are positioned, you can think about connecting those dots to start making your curve down to the bottom. Alright, and I also have some little pictures here that I added. I can't myself see them from this distance away. So I can't remember what I put here. Oh, I think this one's a crab. I think, let's see, this one looks like a ball. And this one is obviously an apple. We always see A's for apple everywhere. Let me know what are some of your other favorite pictures that you like to use for letter A when you're introducing the alphabet. Alright, so here are our next 3 letters: D, E, and F. So D here is dots 1, 4, 5, and it kind of makes that D shape, that big round curve from the top on the right side all the way out and back to the bottom on the right side. If you are a print reader and you're trying to remember how D looks, you can think about following those dots from dot 1 to 4 to 5 and then curving back down to the left over here. The same way that you would when you're drawing the regular capital D. 1, 4, 5. Now letter E, this is one of the tricky ones for younger kids, especially if they don't have a lot of reading practice, because E and another letter in the alphabet kind of feel the same. They've got that diagonal positioning with the dots, and so a lot of times they might mix them up when they're reading. But letter E is made up of dots 1 and 5. 1 and 5. And then we've got F, which is dots 1, 2, and 4. And this one kind of reminds me of an F, or the beginnings of the capital F. If you can see that right angle that you get here with 1, 2, and 4, it's kind of like making that first part of the F with the horizontal line at the top, going from left to right. Now let's see if I can figure out what the pictures are here. We have a little ducky for D. We've got an elephant for the letter E. And for F, a fish. So we got an animal theme going on this page. Alright. G, H, and I. Here's that one I was talking about, the one that kids confuse between E and I, because they've got that 2-dot diagonal going on. There's some other letters and symbols that are kind of the mirror of each other that sometimes get confused, but they also are helpful in remembering some of those contractions. Contractions are symbols that represent more than one letter. So like I was saying, ST has one, CH, GH, ED, AR, ER. So all those common 2-letter combinations that we see in a lot of our words, those have contractions, just to make Braille faster to read and take up less space. Because I don't know if any of you have seen the Harry Potter book series in Braille lately, but it is huge, volumes upon volumes of Braille, because whereas we can make print super teeny tiny and still be detectable by the human eye with someone, who's got good vision, Braille has to kind of stay the same size. Because our fingers can only detect the individual dots efficiently at between a certain size and another size. So if it's too big, it's kind of clunky and hard to read and it takes up a lot of space. If it's too small, it's kind of complex and frustrating to figure out. So unfortunately, Braille's gotta take up space. So here we have G. 1, 2, 4, 5. G is one of my favorite letters because it's fast to figure out. You just got that nice little square of dots together. It's just a fun letter. It's kind of like if you could imagine the big letter G and how it's a nice full letter. It's curvy, but then it's got that horizontal line going in towards the middle. So we've got 1, 2, 4, and 5. Now we've got H here. 1, 2, and 5. So this one is kind of like a lowercase h. You can see the vertical line that goes up and down, and then a curve that arches from the center up and then down again to make another kind of half vertical line on the right side. It kind of has that shape. It's like the two dots on top and bottom of each other with one dot in the more middle section over here, dot 5. And here's I, 2 and 4. It's kind of hard to think about how to help kids remember which letter it is, if it's E or I. But if you think about which one comes first in the alphabet and then which one comes after, E comes before I when you're saying the alphabet. E's got a dot 1, I's got a dot 2. So if you find one of these and it's the one that's got a dot 1 and 5, that one is the letter E. If you find the one that has a dot 2 and 4, that one is the next letter, which is I, at least out of those two. Right, let's see what pictures we've got down here to color. We've got grapes. Those are fun. We've got a hat, specifically a party hat. A nice polka dotted little sparkly thing on top hat. And then ice cream. Lots of triangular shapes here. That's kind of funny that we have another theme. A little bunch of grapes that are kind of like in a pyramid shape together. We got that pointed party hat and a pointy ice cream cone with a scoop of ice cream on top. Okay, here we have J, K, and L. So this is another big thing about Braille. If you can figure out the first 10 letters of the alphabet, you will be able to create a mental catalog of all the rest of the symbols in order. And here's what I mean. So J is the last of the 10, the first 10 letters of the alphabet. It's got dot 2, 4, and 5. When we head over to K, we see dot 1 again, with nobody else around it. But what do we have down here? The first time that we are seeing a dot 3. Every other letter before this has not had any dots in these two bottom sections of that third row. Here we have K, which would be the letter first in line in the next 10, and it uses the same dot as letter A. And so now you tell me, what do you notice here? Here we have the letter B. So if I just block off that dot 3 there, it's our letter B, 1 and 2. But when we add dot 3 to it, now we have the letter L. And so if you're trying to remember, because maybe you just see the letters randomly in different orders in different parts of words and you can't really remember, oh, like, is this the second letter after J, or where does this fall in the Braille code? You can kind of think the letter L is just a straight up and down column of dots. 1, 2, 3. Just like the lowercase l is just a straight up and down vertical line. And with K too, if you think about K's got these two diagonal lines coming out from the center, and those two arms are kind of reaching out, one at the top and one at the bottom. And so we've got our two dots here, one that's at the top and one that's at the bottom. So we got K and L, our 11th and 12th letter of the alphabet. So let's see our pictures here. For J, this looks like a diamond, but I would guess I was going for jewel here. This is a jewel. K, we have a kitten, not to be confused with a cat. Cat starts with C. This is kitten with K. And then for L, we've got a lemon. So we've got the whole lemon here, and then the lemon sliced, and you can see the circular inside of the lemon. Okay. Turn the page. Now we have M, N, O. M, N, O. So who do we see here? That is the letter C. And then adding a dot 3 to it is the letter M. And same with the letter D. Adding a dot 3 makes it an N. I used to get confused with these two when I was younger because in print, M has two arches, whereas N just has one arch. But in Braille, M has less dots than N. So I kind of just had to remind myself that if it's the one that's got less dots, it's M, and if it's the one that's got more, it's N. If you guys have any other kind of little tricks that you might know, if you're someone who learned Braille, how you reminded yourself which one was M and which one was N, let me know. And then we've got O here, and O is made up of that letter E with a dot 3, and it kind of makes like a curve if you follow the dots from 1 to 5 to 3, from the top to the middle to the bottom. It's kind of like if you were starting to draw your O or write your O like a circle. And there is another Braille symbol that is made up of dots in this kind of formation, but it's the other way, so it would be dots 2, 4, and 6, all the even numbered dots, but we're not going to look at that one today. Just remember that this is O, 1, 3, 5. And so here for our M, what do we got here? Oh, we've got our moon, like a crescent moon, and a couple little stars, very cute. For N, we've got a nose. I guess I couldn't find a better icon to use for this. I used the Microsoft icons because they're very simplified pictures, and I could get them with a thicker, outline. Easy to kind of see if you have low vision, to kind of tell what it might be. So I think that was the best I could find with the list of icons I had. And then for O, we've got a very cute little stylized octopus. We can only see 4 of his legs right now, 4 of his tentacles. But that's okay. Sometimes having too many tentacles makes it a little too visually complex anyway. who do we have next? Here is P, Q, and R. So P is that letter F with a dot 3. And it also looks like the letter P. If you think about a capital P, we've got that vertical line going straight up and down on the left side and one dot hanging up over here on the top right, kind of like that curve that the P has in print that goes out to the right and back down to the middle. Now for Q, Q does look kind of like a Q, but the dot 3 is over on the left side as opposed to on the right where the little tail sticks out, even, you know, the big capital Q and the lowercase q. But this one is one of the letters with the most dots in it. There's a couple other that have 5 dots in them, but here's Q, and it's that letter G with the dot 3. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so next here we have our letter R, and it is dots 1, 2, 3, and 5. So it's our letter H with a dot 3. And I guess it kind of looks like an R, maybe a lowercase r, where you have that vertical line coming up halfway and then like a little flag or a little curve going out to the side and just hanging out there. So I don't know. What else do you think you can use to help you remember that this is an R? 1, 2, 3, 5. And so for our little pictures down here, for P we have pineapple, the international welcoming fruit. Very nice little cute pineapple there. Then we've got, for Q, we have a question mark, a print question mark. So that kind of hook with a dot underneath inside of a circle, which is also a kind of common computer symbol that you might see in a dialog box or something like that, or a button that you can push when you need help. And then for R, we have a rainbow. It doesn't have the 7 arches for all the different colors, but it's there with 2 little puffy clouds at the ends covering up the fact that the rainbow is a perfect circle. We've got the arch that we can see in our horizon usually, and then the 2 clouds at the end. Alright. S, T, and U. We are getting very close to the end of the alphabet now. Have you memorized some of these yet? So here's S, which is the letter I, and a dot 3. There's actually a method for kind of remembering where each symbol lies in the columns that you might make. If you make 10 columns, one with each of the first 10 letters of the alphabet at the top, and continue filling in the columns with the Braille dots, there's a way to kind of memorize the letters in that order instead of going row by row the way that we usually do learn the letters. You can go column by column and kind of make a little story using each of those letters that goes with those dots. So in this column would be I, and then S, and then it would actually be the letter Z if you added the dot that's supposed to be there for letter Z, which you're going to see soon, I promise. So I don't know what you might think of for that story using I, S, and Z. Let me know if you come up with some creative things. There are some already out there that people have made as like a mnemonic device. So see if you like some of those, or if you like one that you make up on your own. Here is the letter T with dots 2, 3, 4, and 5. So whereas S just had 2, 3, and 4, T has 2, 3, 4, and 5, because there's our letter J. So now we know we've reached the 20th letter. And it looks kind of like a lowercase t, because it's got a dot at the top, a dot at the bottom, and then 2 dots in the middle, kind of like the way the T makes a cross. They're not positioned exactly right to make that shape, but it's kind of close. And here's the letter U, which, what do we see here? There's our letter A again. I'm covering up the dots that are at the bottom so you can see dot 1 all the way up there. Now, if I start revealing, we've got our dot 3, which made our letter K with 1 and 3. And now we've reached the set of symbols that's including a dot 6 at the bottom. So we've got 1, 3, and 6. And this is the letter U. I'm not sure exactly what you might think about this one. I think maybe sometimes I create a little picture, like the dot 1 is the sun, and 3 and 6 are kind of like our horizon here, like sand and ocean. And what do you use at the beach? An umbrella. An umbrella starts with U. You can also think maybe how some umbrellas have that hooked bottom, you know, like the curvy cane shaped bottom. So if you want to go from dot 1 to 3 to 6, you can start making that curvy shape that you usually see on some umbrellas, at least. And so here now on our little illustrations, or little icons that we've got here for S, we have a sock. For T, we have a little turtle, a little cute turtle guy with the shell. You can only see 2 of his legs and half of his face, but he's still pretty cute. And look at that, for you I put here an umbrella. And it doesn't have that little curvy bottom hook thing, but it is an umbrella nonetheless. Alright. Now, I know you see one here that is not like the others. There is a letter in this last set of letters that does not have a dot 3. And that is because when Louis Braille first created the Braille code, he did not have a letter W included. And so we had to kind of borrow a symbol from further down the way to make this letter W. So it kind of disrupts that 10-column thing that I was talking about. But, you know, there it is, letter W. It would be sad if we didn't have it in Braille anyway, because there's lots of things that start with W that we like, huh? Watermelon. I don't know. What else do you like that starts with W? I should have prepared some more things, huh, if I was going to start saying that. So here we have the letter V. And it is our letter B with dot 3 and 6 added. And you can think maybe, I guess, the letter V is a very long letter. It goes from all the way at the top to all the way at the bottom, back to all the way to the top. So you can start thinking that with this symbol, you would be going down and then starting your way back up to the top to make that V. But yes, here it is. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 6. Okay. And then for W, which is our little lost symbol here, we've got dots 2, 4, 5, and 6. 2, 4, 5, and 6. And I'm not sure what you can think of this one. Maybe how W has 3 points that touch the top, the capital W does. And this one's got 3 dots on one side. It can kind of look like a sideways W if you really squint and think about it. Yeah. And then we've got our X. This is a fun one. It's the letter C. So remember that V was the letter B. So here we come back to our original kind of method. Here's the letter C with dots 3 and 6. And if you think about the print letter X, it's got those 2 long diagonal lines, and the points touch in the 2 corners at the top and the 2 corners at the bottom. And so this has 2 dots at the top and 2 dots at the bottom. So you can kind of connect them diagonally and make an X. 1, 3, 4, and 6. Okay, and so here for our pictures, the letter V, we've got a violin, and the bow is just right there next to it. We've got a nice triangular slice of watermelon for W. And for X, we have a xylophone, and the 2 mallets are also right there next to it. Our last page. So we have Y, Z, and here is that special symbol I was telling you about at the very beginning. This is how we capitalize in Braille. I'll tell you about that when we get there. So here is the letter Y. It's made up of dots 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is the letter D with a dot 3, which made it a letter N. And now with a dot 6 makes it the letter Y. I'm not quite sure. I mean, if you imagine a lowercase y, and if you're the kind of person that really liked to curl that bottom diagonal line underneath the Y, this Braille letter Y might look like that to you, where dot 1 and 4 are like the upper part, and then you go down to 5 and 6 and 3 to make that tail that goes underneath the line when you're writing. And here is Z. The letter Z has the dots 1, 3, 5, and 6. And, you know, I think I just remembered that I told you something a little misspoken earlier. So when I told you that the letter S and the letter Z go together, that was wrong. So what actually goes with the letter Z is the letter O. Do you see it? 1, 3, and 5. And then we just added the dot 6. So the 3 letters that go together in that column, or that set of letters with the same beginning dots, is E, O, and Z. The letter S, if you add a dot 6 to it, actually becomes the word and. Yes, so for Braille, like I told you, there are blended or combination symbols that, equal a couple letters together. There are also symbols that mean whole words. So and, for, of, the, and with. And I'm sorry, you know what? I said something wrong again. This is what happens when you don't read Braille for a long time, huh? So that symbol that you make with the letter S, which is 2, 3, 4, 6, that is actually the. That is the word for the. T-H-E, the. There's the symbol for and, which is the mirror of the letter Y. So the symbol for and is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So instead of the dot being in the middle position on the right side, dot 5, that would be blank and there would be a dot 2 instead. That's how it would be the mirror of the letter Y. So the mirror of the letter Y is and the mirror of the letter Z is the. And now we have our capital symbol. So what you would do if you wanted to make something capital, like your name or the title of something, you would add a dot 6 first. So you would Braille the dot 6 in its own cell, and then the next cell you would create would be that first letter that you want to capitalize. There are also different ways if you want to capitalize a whole word. So every letter be capital, you don't have to put a dot 6 in front of each letter. You would just put 2 dot 6s next to each other. And that would let somebody know that you want the whole word to be capitalized. And there's other things too for different situations. But there we go, we made it all the way to the end. Let's see what we got for our letter Y here. We have yarn, and letter Z, zebra. Of course, it's like apple. It's one of those that you always know people are going to use to talk about the letters. Is there anything else that you guys like to use for the letter Z? Let me know. And then here we've got our old-fashioned proofreading symbol for capitalizing that you would put underneath a letter in print. Those 3 short lines to demonstrate that you want that letter to be taller. Alright. Well, thank you guys for hanging around, relaxing with me, taking a look at all the Braille symbols, remembering things with me, catching me in my errors, taking a look at how the code is structured, thinking about the different rules, and just kind of learning or relaxing, or both, whatever you decided you wanted to do. And if you like this kind of stuff, let me know and I can make some more relaxing videos about